You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Today's edition of the Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live, local, 5 days per week TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders like you. Let's get started and begin with what's making headlines today across the Great Lakes State on our website, civiccentertv.com, on our local news page. Our first article comes from Anna-Liz Nichols at the Detroit News. The Oakland County Prosecutor's Office has launched a new commission of local and national experts to combat gun violence here in the local area. Asked what the reasons were behind forming this commission, Prosecutor Karen McDonald said, quote, Madison, Tate, and Justin, those, of course, and close quote, those, of course, the 4 students killed in last November's school shooting in Oxford. The commission will aim to create evidence-based curriculum on gun violence and craft prevention and intervention strategies that will hopefully help to prevent tragedies before they happen. The commission has no timeline as of yet as far as when their reports will be complete and become available to the public and to institutions locally. Also making headlines today on our website from Frank Witzel at the Detroit Free Press. Bad news at the pump for Metro Detroiters, as the local area has the highest gas prices in the entire state of Michigan. That's according to AAA, who has the average local price set at $3.91 per gallon. That's 10 cents above the statewide average. The most expensive gas prices in the local area currently stand at, of course, Metro Detroit, $3.91 per gallon, followed by Ann Arbor at $3.88 and Traverse City at $3.86 per gallon. The least expensive gas prices in the Great Lakes State at this time stand in Grand Rapids, where prices are averaging out about $3.68 per gallon, Benton Harbor at $3.70, and the Lansing area at $3.72 per gallon average. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Lee Thompson at MLive via the Associated Press. The Associated Press has released its first high school football rankings of the season for all divisions, including 8-player divisions here in the state of Michigan. Leading the way in our local area is West Bloomfield at number 2 overall in Division 1, with both Rochester Adams and Clarkston outside of the top 10, but receiving top 10 votes. In Division 2, Birmingham Seaholm boasts the 9th overall ranking out of 10, as it currently stands undefeated at 4-0. Walled Lake Western holds a top 5 spot in Division 3, coming in at number 3 with Birmingham Brother Rice at number 10 in Division 3 as well. That's just some of the many teams that are locally ranked across all divisions in our state, including in our local area. See some of the rankings on our local news page, but find the full rankings by clicking through to that article from MLive at CivicCenterTV.com on our local news page. All of our headlines are also on that page, along with helpful links to COVID-19 updates from the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Tuesday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll talk to Ellen Gilchrist, the Senior Director of K-12 Education and Community Initiatives with the United Way for Southeastern Michigan. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick.
The virus will die.
It will be easy to not catch it.
Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer.
Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong.
Be like happy, having fun everywhere.
Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our partnering stations all across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now on the Megacast from the United Way for Southeastern Michigan is their Senior Director of K-12 Education and Community Initiatives, Ellen Gilchrist, is with us now on the Megacast. Ellen, thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you with us. So right now, what are some of the key focuses from the United Way for Southeastern Michigan in terms of K-12 education? Now that we're back in school, the COVID-19 pandemic isn't as much of a factor in the classroom anymore, but that doesn't mean that some of the issues of COVID-19 aren't still affecting kids outside the classroom and in the classroom as well.
Absolutely. We know that the impact of COVID-19 and the experience that students have had over the last 2.5 years will be with us for a while. And so we are working to actively address some of the challenges that have arisen for teachers, for schools, for families through school spaces to ensure that children are prepared and equipped to learn.
So what does that entail? Does that entail partnerships with these schools individually, or are these more interventions directly with students and families?
So we have a few initiatives happening. We have a direct partnerships with schools where we are doing some community schools work to ensure that wraparound supports are available, and that's in a few select districts. But our biggest initiative that we're really excited about that's starting very soon, next week, in fact, is the launch of a grant to invest in out-of-school time programming, because we know that is an opportunity to help students recover from the learning that they missed as a result of the pandemic, to also support their social emotional learning that we know was impacted as a result of COVID-19. So we're really looking forward to deepening our work in that space and ensuring students have what they need, not just when they're in school, but when they're out of school.
Among some of the additional funding that's coming in for some of these programs, Oakland County has allocated about $5 million to be granted through the United Way for school district programs, including some of those out-of-school time programs. And Ellen, just how important are those programs to these school environments, and how much of a need is there in many of our schools in the local area and really across the board in Michigan for more of an investment in these kinds of programs?
So we know in our region that 40% of families do not have enough means to ensure that they can take care of the basics in life, right? That's housing, food, transportation, et cetera. And we know the additional cost of out-of-school time programming is an additional burden. We want to ensure that children don't miss out on those opportunities because their families are struggling financially. And when we can bring these programs to schools where kids are, we have an opportunity to fill a gap. And that's what we're looking to do with this grant. So these dollars are going to offset some of the funding challenges that we know schools already have. And they are going to offset the funding challenges that program providers have. And that's a really important distinction here too, because programming is expensive, high quality programming, and those in the out of school time space that do it well want to invest deeply in children and to make sure that they have the best staff, that their staff are trained, that they're monitoring progress and impact. And we want to take those high quality service providers and we want to bring them to schools and to families through this grant.
We're joined by Ellen Gilchrist. She is the Senior Director of K-12 Education and Community Initiatives with the United Way for Southeastern Michigan on today's edition of the Megacast. You can find more information on United Way initiatives in our local area by visiting unitedwaysem.org. That's unitedwaysem.org for more information, programs, and other initiatives throughout the local area, including here in Oakland County. Ellen, as this funding goes into some of these after-school programs and tries to really re-bolster monitor some of these programs, and school districts especially, that have had to neglect these programs because of a lack of funding in recent years, predating COVID even. What are some of the primary examples of these after-school programs that tend to have the greatest effect on that secondary education from the primary daily education of these kids?
So we're looking to invest in programs that are STEAM focused, where students are experiencing art, math, science, technology. We're looking to provide experiences where students come together and they build those soft skills of communicating and collaboration. We are looking for experiences that open doors and show kids mirrors. So they allow them to see themselves through these opportunities, but expose them to things that they've never thought were available to them, whether that's music, that's, the fine arts, that's bringing, special sciences into schools and thinking about that. We know that teachers are working really hard during that traditional 8 to 3 o'clock period to make sure kids are getting that math, science, and social studies and ELA. We want to find additional ways to support that work through best practices that we know exist. So that's ensuring that students have a voice in the programming, that they get to problem solve and communicate. We want to ensure that there's consistency in this programming through the grant, so that it's not just a one-time experience that students have and then they never have it again. We know that over time, when students have this experience, then they are actually going to double down on the skill sets that we're hoping they develop as a result of this.
Continuing on, we're talking about the funding that's going into a lot of these after-school programs through the United Way for Southeastern Michigan, as well as other organizations being funded by Oakland County and other funding across the state and around the country. And so I want to touch on this too. An important element of all these different programs that are going back into really a reinvestment in the classroom and outside of the classroom for students is the mental health side of things. Can you speak to that and how that plays a factor into where some of these funds are going and some of the programs that are being supported by these?
We recognize that students have they've experienced trauma as a result of these last few years too, and it's really important to provide resources to support that. And so organizations that are coming into schools and are able to support students and providing those needs, or that do offsite programming for students, we want to ensure that they're eligible and that they consider applying for this grant too. And that's a space where United Way has had some longstanding experience in working with Oakland County in this space in particular, because it's something the county recognizes as an important area to invest in. Because when kids are healthy, not just physically, but mentally healthy, they're better equipped to learn and to grow and to thrive.
I'm joined by Ellen Gilchrist, the Senior Director of K-12 Education and Community Initiatives at the United Way for Southeastern Michigan. Ellen, what are some of the other key initiatives that are being pushed forward with some of these funding, some of these funds that we haven't discussed yet today?
I think it's important to understand that these funds are available to schools within Oakland County, so they are eligible to apply. These are available for providers. So if you are an out-of-school time provider, whether that's before, after school, or over summer and during breaks, you're also eligible to apply for funding here. And you can do your programming on-site at a school or off-site at your particular program headquarters, wherever you are offering programming. That we're really trying to cast a wide net because we recognize that students have a wide set of needs across the county and that families have a wide set of needs. And so this is about not just going into schools, but it's really about thinking about that whole period of time when kids are out of school and need additional supports. This is also about really ensuring that programming is mitigating the impact of COVID-19. And so that's understanding the social emotional strains and the academic strains, and then targeting something there. And the last thing I would say is that you need to serve the youth of Oakland County. You don't necessarily need to be based in Oakland County. So some of those communities that are on the border, but intentionally focused on Oakland County communities and their students are eligible as well.
Well, Ellen, thank you so much for telling us about not only how who these funds are eligible to be accessed by and who they can support, but also some of the different initiatives that they're going toward that are really going to help kids in our classrooms and boost their education after a couple of really tough years at school.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here with you.
Glad to have you on with us. Ellen Gilchrist from the United Way for Southeastern Michigan has been joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. You can find more information on their website, unitedwaysem.org. We'll take a quick break. On the other side, we'll talk to Linda Little, the president and CEO of the Neighborhood Service Organization. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Let's whoop it up for these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Fire Prevention Week is just around the corner. Join volunteer, part-time, and on-call firefighters at this year's Fire Open House. Catch up on your fire safety knowledge with live demonstrations and hands-on activities. Chat with local businesses and resources about fire prevention, see some familiar faces, fight future fires, and make some new friends. The West Bloomfield Fire Open House, October 2nd from noon to 3 p.m. at Fire Station 1 on Orchard Lake Road.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick.
The virus will die.
It will be easy to not catch it.
Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer.
Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong.
Be happy, having fun everywhere.
Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live, local, daily, 5 days per week TV, radio, and streaming show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program by visiting civiccentertv.com/Megacast. We'll find info on all of our partnering TV, radio, and other streaming outlets as well, and find our programs on demand, as well as all of our each of our individual interviews too, so you can watch the show at your pace anytime and anywhere. civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Joining us now is Linda Little, the president and the CEO of the Neighborhood Service Organization, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. Linda, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you on with us. So first off, can you tell us a little bit about the history and the mission of the Neighborhood Service Organization?
Sure. NSO was formed in 1955, so we're 67 years old. And we have been committed to serving metropolitan Detroit community since that time, continuously evolving our programs to meet the needs of children, individuals with mental illness, intellectual and developmental disabilities, and seniors, and the homeless as well. We have a full continuum of homeless services.
So that's a pretty wide range of individuals that you're serving, and individuals that have different needs as well in their daily lives and in their long-term life as well. So how do you fulfill that mission and provide the necessities that are provided for each of these different groups?
So that's a great question, and it's actually rolled up in our actual mission statement, which is that we facilitate dreams by using innovative solutions and promoting equity for all in the areas of health, housing, and well-being. So, and that's the continuous evolution that NSO has done. I stand on the shoulders of a legacy of great leadership at NSO who's really been forward-thinking and keeping their ear to the ground for the needs of the community. So the majority of our population is, social workers, psychologists, or therapists, case managers. We have psychiatrists, we have peer support specialists, shelter operations folks, we have street outreach teams. And so we're very engaged in the community. And we now have, through our integration of primary care and physical health services, we employ nurses, family practice physicians, nurse practitioners who also help us to integrate that care. So we really, when a person comes to NSO, our goal is to wrap our programs and services around them, not just to meet their overall health needs, behavioral health and primary care, but any of those social determinants, the wraparound services that are needed to address basic needs. Housing could be reunification with family, workforce development, whatever it is to help that individual thrive in our community is what we provide at NSO. By the time they get to us, they've probably tried every other resource in the community. And so we really, want to take advantage of this opportunity, this one last chance opportunity to help people get a fresh start in life.
You can find more information on the Neighborhood Service Organization by visiting nso-mi.org, nso-mi.org for more information. We're joined by Linda Little, who is the president and the CEO of the Neighborhood Service Organization, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. One of those resources that is going toward some of these initiatives and helping some of these people with developing a greater quality of life in their day-to-day life and, of course, long-term are your 360 wellness centers. Can you tell us about that and how those are helping some of these individuals on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. So I mentioned that most of our services were delivered in the community. So we go into people's homes and adult foster care centers, and we're in every nursing home in Wayne and Oakland counties. But by creating clinic facilities, as we've done in the last 4 years, we are creating a one-stop shop for the surrounding neighborhoods. So really creating a hub and a resource center for the neighborhoods who may not have access to preventive and well care. And so our 360 wellness centers we have 4 of them situated in Westland, in Detroit on Oakland Boulevard in our permanent supportive housing and central offices, another one on Woodward in Detroit, and then we operate a clinic out of our shelter. We have a new shelter that we're constructing that will be opened in the first quarter of 2023. That will have a 360 wellness center that will be open to the community just north of Eastern Market on Mack and Gratiot. And so it's really primary care, behavioral health services. We are going to be offering dental services in our Mack and Gratiot location. Currently, we do dental fairs in partnership with UD Mercy Dental School, but we will have dental services on site. And then we have a pharmacy to help with understanding their medications and doing medication therapeutic management to make sure that people are taking their prescriptions so that they can continue to improve their chronic medical conditions as well.
In August, Linda, your organization announced that it was naming Community Health and Social Services, or CHASS, Center as its new primary clinic partner as you go forth in some of these efforts. What ultimately went into the decision to partner with this particular organization for these services, and what sort of services are they providing that are critical to those that you serve?
So during the pandemic, we launched our primary care initiatives to integrate with NSO's behavioral health services, and we did it ourselves. We had a chief medical officer. We employed those physicians, nurse practitioners, nurses, and we've grown through our certified community behavioral health center, which is the behavioral health equivalent of a federally qualified health center, an FQHC, which CHASS Center is. We've grown. And so we knew we needed a partner who could help us to meet the needs of this exponential growth and allow us to sustain for the foreseeable future. At the same time, the federal government is looking at ways that FQHCs and CCBHCs can partner together to look at streamlining resources. How can we gain the experiential knowledge to determine best practices for how these two different systems can work together for the benefit of the community? So this is really, again, an innovative way that we can help accomplish that objective and really meet the needs of the populations that we jointly serve. CHASS Center has been around 50 years serving vulnerable populations. So they're going to be providing primary care and the dental service component to our integrated health model in partnership with NSO inside of our 4 clinics.
And this organization, it's also been qualified as an FQHC. Can you tell us what that is and how that adds an extra benefit of not only credibility, but a sign that they have been able to help people in need in these kinds of communities across Michigan and beyond for a number of years?
So not only are they been designated as an FQHC, a federally qualified health center, but they are an award-winning FQHC because of their quality of care that they deliver. And another thing that we have in common is that we both have a strong partnership with Henry Ford Health. CHASS is affiliated with Henry Ford Health, and so many of our clients go there, and so we have a continuity of care relationship with them. And so this really helps us to solidify assets in the community that are already working together, but we can do it in a more integrated fashion to help the populations that we serve. FQHCs are deemed so because they are committed to serving a broad array of services in the community at low cost. So it helps to meet vulnerable populations where they are, but deliver quality care, primary care for that population, which is what we do at NSO.
We're joined by Linda Little. She is the president and CEO of the Neighborhood Service Organization serving Michigan. You can find more information by visiting nso-mi.org, nso-mi.org for more information and services. And Linda, just looking historically at these populations that your organization is serving and this partnership that you now have with this additional organization, in this case, the Community Health and Social Services Center, how important in the past have these sorts of partnerships been to help provide these services to these vulnerable populations and better their quality of life?
Well, I think that's a wonderful question. And one of the things that I have noticed, I've spent most of my career in healthcare, physical healthcare, working for health systems, health plans, private consulting. And one of the things that I noticed coming into the community-based healthcare space is that there's a lot of duplication of assets and not enough partnerships. So one of the things that I wanted to do at NSO was focus on our core services, what we do well. And then we can partner with other entities that specialize in some other services that we might need to support the population, but not reinventing the wheel and taking resources away from other organizations who need to continue to specialize in what it is that they do. And so that was the thought behind this partnership. We do behavioral health. They do primary care. Let's not duplicate assets in this community health space. Let's partner together to serve the joint populations that we share and be able to have creative solutions and outcomes and better everybody in the community.
So often when you have issues in one of those areas, you have issues in the other area. And for these vulnerable populations, treating one of those areas, let alone both simultaneously, can be a significant task in and of itself just to get access to those resources. So it's really important that organizations like this have those partnerships. Linda, anything else for us on the neighborhood service organization that we haven't discussed yet today?
You know what? I just think it's important to say that I long for the day when we're not talking about behavioral health and physical health, and we're just talking about health, because that's what it is. It's all about the overall health and well-being of an individual. It's not separate. Your brain is not separate from your body. Our emotions are not separate from our physiologic operations. And scientifically, research has proven to us that they are all very interconnected. And so I long for the day when our policies, our reimbursement models, everything is aligned to serve the whole person, because that is the best practice for achieving overall health and well-being. And they can find us at nso-mi.org. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. They can like us on either of those venues. And I appreciate the opportunity to share with your viewers today.
Linda, appreciate having you on as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
nso-mi.org for more information. It's nso-mi.org to find more information. We'll take a break here on the Megacast. When we come back, you can make a donation that can impact a number of people's lives. It's not going to cost you a thing. We'll talk about that next on the Megacast.
Let's whoop it up for these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Fire Prevention Week is just around the corner. Join volunteer, part-time, and on-call firefighters at this year's Fire Open House. Catch up on your fire safety knowledge with live demonstrations and hands-on activities. Chat with local businesses and resources about fire prevention, see some familiar faces, fight future fires, and make some new friends. The West Bloomfield Fire Open House, October 2nd from noon to 3 p.m. at Fire Station 1 on Orchard Lake Road.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith, welcoming you back to our live 5 days per week TV, radio, and streaming show about all things Michigan. You can learn more information about our show, find us on demand, and find all of the local TV and radio stations, as well as our streaming outlets that join us live and live to tape every single day throughout the week at civiccentertv.com/megacast. Joining us now on the Megacast is Peggy Burkhart. She is the executive director of the National Bone Marrow Transport Link and joins us on today's edition of the Megacast. Peggy, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, tell us a little bit about yourself and the background of your organization as well.
Sure. So I've been the executive director of the National Bone Marrow Transplant Link for 7.5 years now. But we actually began in 1992. So we're celebrating 30 years this year. of linking and curing and helping patients throughout the bone marrow stem cell transplant journey. The link was started in 1992 by a woman named Myra Jacobs, who saw that there was an unmet need for patients, caregivers, even healthcare professionals needing support, psychosocial, emotional, and even educational support as it relates to the bone marrow stem cell transplant journey. Because as we know, just because you get a transplant doesn't mean that this is over. It's a whole new normal, a whole new life for people. And we support them throughout the entire journey, before, during, and after.
It's just how common is it in the medical community for someone to need a bone marrow transplant or to need some additional stem cells that maybe they're not able to produce in their own body to treat certain medical issues?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, it's not super common, but transplant does save lives. I don't have the statistic in front of me, but probably 50,000 people get transplanted a year, something like that. So it's happening. It's happening often in the different disease states that warrant a transplant. Now, of course, there are other, thanks to clinical trials sometimes, there are other ways people can get cured or in remission. There's CAR T cell therapy that is very, very popular right now. And it's a game changer. It's making a huge difference for people. We're actually doing a season of, we do podcasts, and we're releasing season 8 tomorrow. And it's all about clinical trials. And it's incredible to think the lives that are saved because of clinical trials. And there are even drugs like Levac that are out because of a clinical trial that sometimes make a transplant not even necessary. So there's many solutions to many disease states.
Going back to just kind of the initiator here, you need, in order to provide these transplants and to provide these stem cells, you need donors. And when you think about blood donation or plasma donation, there are certain requirements that people have to be able to check off in order for their blood or their plasma to be able to be donated. Is that the case also with bone marrow?
Yes, there's Be the Match, DKMS, wonderful groups that have donor databases. What I don't think people realize is, and I didn't realize this till I took the job, the golden marrow, the best marrow, is actually younger people, males in particular, college age, in their 20s. By the time you are in your mid 40s, most of the time you're uneligible to be a bone marrow donor. So it's really important that young people step up, because for someone, it's a needle in a haystack. I mean, in a donor database of hundreds of thousands, there could be just one person that is the perfect match for you or near perfect match. And finding that person is so important. And when there's not a strong donor database, especially among minorities, it's very difficult to find a match. So I really encourage people. It's so easy today. It's a cheek swab. I did it when I was much younger. I was never called, but I wished I had been. I would have loved to have, even before I was involved in this cause. Solid organ transplant was my background. So I was always about the gift of life, but I wish I would have gotten the opportunity to help someone in just this unbelievable way. So I encourage people to, just take that simple step. I think now you can even get a swab sent in the mail to you, and you could, do a cheek swab at home. So it's very easy. And I believe free.
So, Peggy, this is a different process than when you're donating your blood or your plasma, whereas you may sign up and go to this appointment, do a pre-appointment checklist, and then go through and make that donation. This is a little bit different of a process. Like you said, you do that test with the initial swab, and then you may or may not get called down the line to actually make that donation. Just how common is among those that sign up for any of these bone marrow transplant registries to potentially be able to be a donor? How often, what percentage do you know, or how often, how commonly are people being called from that registry to donate their bone marrow, given, as you said, that finding matches can be a little bit tougher than with just a few blood types?
I'm honestly not sure of the number, and I wouldn't want to guess, but I know that it takes a lot of people being on a registry to be able to accommodate the need. So the secret is having high numbers. And, we have so many recipients that take the time. I just interviewed a gentleman for my podcast who, while he, Army major, gave him 3 years to live. While he was in the 3 years figuring out, the best treatment, he just started doing drives, and he's African-American. So he signed up thousands and thousands of people. So while he was waiting for his own life to be saved, we joked, we have no idea how many lives he might have saved just by all the drives that he did, because he felt like he needed to do something. So that's pretty incredible.
We're joined by Peggy Burkhart on today's edition of the Megacast. She's the executive director of the National Bone Marrow Transport Link. Joining us on today's show, you can find more information on their website, mbmtlink.org, mbmtlink.org, for more information and for info on resources as well. Beyond just encouraging donation and helping people facilitate getting themselves on the registry or even donating their bone marrow or stem cells, what other resources are provided through your organization, especially for those that may be in need of some of these donations or these medical services that involve those donations?
So we really take care of the mental and emotional needs and educational of the patient before, during, and after, and the caregiver. We have books. We just updated our caregiver book that's very popular, and most of the major transplant centers order our books. So we have books, we have webinars, we have a monthly lunch and learn that is the third Wednesday of every month for an hour. Everybody calls in. It's free. Everything's free except for our books. Of course, we have the Marrow Mastered podcasts, and we started a new program this year called Coffee Clutch. So because of COVID, we felt people really needed more interaction with people that were going through the same thing they were going through. So we do these Zoom format coffee clutches where people can hop on and they get to talk to other people that have gone through the same thing they've gone through, whether they're a caregiver, a survivor, or a graft versus host disease survivor. And they get to have this camaraderie. It's very, very heartwarming. We send them a special gift in the mail, thanks to our sponsors. And for an hour and a half, they end up consoling each other, building each other up, sharing ideas, answering questions. And the feedback we get is, it was just so amazing to be with people who understand what I'm going through. So we're really, really proud of our programs. Our podcasts are going to hit 15,000 downloads this week once we release our new season tomorrow. And we just try to listen to our constituents and see what the unmet needs are and get them the information they need. Survivorship is not for wusses. It's they get through the transplant, they get their life saved, and then they have to really think long and hard about how to live their new normal. And we're there for them to support them every step of the way.
You can get your updated Caregiver's Guide for Bone Marrow and Stem Cell Transplant from this organization by visiting their website, nbmtlink.org, nbmtlink.org, to find more information. We're joined by Peggy Burkhart. She is the executive director of the National Bone Marrow Transport Link, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. Peggy, you mentioned that you were in kind of adjacent fields or nearby fields within medicine before you got involved in this organization. But what ultimately led you to directing this organization and the role that you're currently in?
So I found out about this job. I was having coffee with a dear friend who said, "Hey, did you see that there was a job posting?" And as soon as I read it and I saw what I would be able to do, again, the gift of life, going from solid organ transplant, public relations and marketing, running a coalition for organ recipients to now, and donor families, and now to get to go and work in the same arena, but yet different. Move over to cancer and blood cancers and lymphomas, and get to learn about all that. And we're national. Actually, we're international because our programs can be accessed internationally, our lunch and learns, et cetera, our podcasts. So we are so proud to be able to help people really across the globe. And we're headquartered in Michigan. A wonderful woman named, like I said earlier, Myra Jacobs started the link because she had a friend who was going to be going out west for a transplant. She had a little girl back in 1992-ish, and she had no support. So Myra said, "Hey, we need to create an organization that will support people throughout this journey of theirs." So I am honored to carry the torch and continue Myra's work in our 30th year.
Yeah, 30 years this organization, founded in 1992. You mentioned that a couple of times, that this is a big anniversary year for your organization. How is your organization going about celebrating that? And not only that, but also extending that outreach in the community so more people know about all these different resources that are available to those in need of these transplants and stem cell treatments, and also to those that may be interested in becoming a donor or registering to become a donor down the line?
Well, we're going to have some, small parties and celebrations. But one of the things we've done that's been really neat throughout the year is we've asked people for their pearls of wisdom in our newsletters. We've asked people to share what do you wish you knew? What do you wish someone would have told you if you were a newbie about to get a transplant? And this sharing has been really incredible. We've been able to take these pearls of wisdom and share them on social media, share them in our newsletter, share them on our website. And we feel that is our gift back to people, just to have the wisdom of others that have walked that road, and they can, let others know it's going to be okay. And we have a great peer support program. So if anybody ever wants to talk to a peer, our licensed social worker, Jennifer Gillette, does an awesome job buddying up people if they ever want to talk to someone. And we also offer through Jen one-on-one counseling sessions free of charge, where they can talk to a licensed therapist about what's going on, what's on their mind. So that's pretty neat that, people just so they know, you can reach out to info@mbmtlink.org anytime, and we will find the right person for you to talk to.
Well, Peggy, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us more about your organization, all the services and the resources that are available to people in all different situations throughout our local area and around the country and the world.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You can find more information on nbmtlink.org, nbmtlink.org. That is going to do it for today's edition of the program. I want to thank everybody that joined us, all of our guests today, as well as our dedicated crew, Jared Clark at the office of My Michigan TV, as well as our producer, the king of television, as we call him, Larry Nyland, for booking all these guests and helping them and us get ready for these informative conversations today and 5 days a week on the Megacast. Find us online, civiccentertv.com/Megacast on demand. We'll return tomorrow with a new live show.